This is the story my friend told. He looks more like my foe. But I've always looked up to him. He is ahead of me in everything. But we were like brothers to each other. For his own safety, call him William. And Jane, his wife. The names are made up. Feel free to skip ahead. William got married to Jane when he was 23 years old. Jane is now 25 years old. There is a boy living with them. When they met while walking, everything went well. Jane was a good person who could talk nicely. My wife has breast cancer, and she was there for her. Jane was like an older sister to my wife. William never said anything bad about Jane, but he did say more than a year ago that she is weird and very attached to her phone. He told me that they hadn't had sex in more than 6 months, and that she always turns down his attempts to get closer. She came home at 4 a.m. on their wedding anniversary. I told him there were many signs that she might be seeing someone, so it was likely true. He said that even though he had thought about it for a while, he didn't want to believe it was likely. In this way, it went on. Like how she stopped seeing my wife as often. When I told my wife about his problem, she agreed to help me find it in secret. After they had their secret talk, my wife told me she was dating a guy. They're just friends, though, and he's a great technician. It was clear to both my husband and me where this was going. William told me, I'm sure Jaden wouldn't do that after I told him what happened. I love her so much. That's not how she would act. If I tell him to hire a private detective, we can at least get by. He hired a private investigator, but the detective was unable to find any suspicious behavior. After 3 months, he made a picture. That's all he has. She was holding hands with a man who was leaving the theater in the shot. When he called, he said he needed to talk. He looked like he had lost everything and was a total mess. He asked with a smile, what went wrong? I know that he is thinking about committing suicide. That's why he and I went to a pub and drank a lot. She wasn't what I thought of, he said as he began to talk. Her only job is taking care of our son. She hasn't cleaned the house in over 3 months. The only thing she does is kiss my face before and after bed. She says she's tired or needs some space. What should I do next? I knew he was poor. Over the course of several days, I told him I believed in him and that he wasn't alone. Several other men in his friends group were on his side. He finally decided she wasn't worth it, so he took her out of the marriage and began seeing a woman at work. We both worked for the same company, but in different areas. They were both web artists. After that, Will met Helena. She was younger than him. He told me, I'm going to enjoy my life, and then he gave her to me. She looked like a model. Like spy figures in video games. They've had a few hookups and really seemed to be together. He was happy and didn't worry about Jane. Changes began when Jane saw that he was happy and felt like he had been far away. After that, she came up to me and asked where Will was and if he was seeing anyone. But I lied. So, at Christmas, she told her husband that she had been seeing someone else for more than a year. She also said that she knew how great Will was and how important their marriage was. Will tried not to cry as he asked her about the details. She told me it was a mistake and that we could get back together. He said, it's over between them, and asked her to leave because he wanted to split up with her. After that, she went to her mom's house and texted and called her nonstop. During this time, Will started a new account, moved his money there, and then opened more accounts at different banks, etc. They took money from the shared account, but they set aside half for her. She begged him not to separate her while she was crying. By that time, Will had moved on, and Jane had tried to kill herself and told Will she would do anything. Besides that, she depended on him. She's not going to stop. Will did everything he could but visit her in the hospital. After the release, she went to his place and told him everything. He told her to speak up first because he needed more information. She lies and says there is nothing else, no second chance. Then she told him that he was a nearby mechanic. She too has been alone and wishes she could go back to her youth. So it all started when her car broke down and she met him. Changed their phone numbers. After about a month, it turned sexual. It was an intense and passionate love story. He was interested in where she was on their date and on their son's birthday. When he called to celebrate their son's birthday, she told him she was having sex with him because she was late from work. She also went on a trip with a cheap partner on their anniversary, and they had a lot of sex that day. She also took him to a flat. Hearing that broke Will's heart, so he began calling her every name in the book. She says she's sorry and will think about our child so that we can be his parents again. He told her it was a mistake to meet her, and that she is no longer interesting to him. She begged him to stay by holding his legs, that she will not give up, and that the other person in the affair is not important. A week before Christmas, Jane's 27-year-old love partner broke up with her. Will knew that she felt close to both the person with whom she was having an affair and to me. Will gave her back after pleading with her and talking to her about it. He did what he did not because he loved her but because he had to. In our country, cheating is not a reason to get a divorce, but you need solid proof to back up your claim. If you can't show any proof, you failed. Will didn't have any strong evidence, which is what you need to win in court. He had other plans, even though Helena was always on his mind. Guidelines were set by him. She had no choice but to accept it. She cleans the house and does the laundry. She will be kicked out if she doesn't do what he says. Always ready for sex at any time. Or she should do what he says. He should have her full phone number, email address, login information, and password. He moved away from her. After they have sex, he kicks her out of the room and tells her to sleep on the guest bed because this is his bed. He also usually gets home late. He calls her by her first name, yells at her, and swears at her for making stupid mistakes. After she learnt about Helena, she confronted him, and he told her the door was open and she could leave. Jane often comes to see my wife and asks for advice on how to keep her marriage together. In addition, she gives advice and tips. My wife was sad because of her. Jane told my wife that Will doesn't let her share a bed with him, and that he often turns her down. When she got dressed up and went to see him, he made fun of her and told her to grow up. It's a mess with her right now. I even feel sorry for her. He always tells his girlfriend that Will's wife is an old cow and not as great as she seems. Things get bad for her when she learns that Will and Helena are going on a business trip. After it hurt her, Will told her he wasn't her. They are just friends for now. I knew what they were, though. At the work party, we were also supposed to bring our wives. Will turned Jane down by telling her that they needed to work things out before he got single, even though Jane was excited about this. All the time, he was on Helena's side. They seemed to be getting along great, and Helena understood. They do everything as a pair. As Will had told Helena, he will leave Jane when their child turns 18. Will also told me this. He treats her like she is trash. He hurts people emotionally instead of physically. She might not clean the table, so he might suggest that Mr. Mechanic would do it for her. He says she is cheating on him and blames her, saying that whatever she does or doesn't do in the bedroom is really her fault. I have no idea where this is going to end. I think his son is the reason he stayed. He doesn't care about money. But now he is very mean to Jane. Since things have been going like this, Jane turns to my wife for support. Now let's hear from the people in the neighborhood. Even though I hate cheating, IMS Catman says this is also wrong. From the replies, I've learned that it's not fair to say that her actions made him angry. If you accept the answer, you have to accept the cheater's claim that the husband cheated. Jane needs to get a divorce because she cheats on her husband all the time. Will also cheats in a horrible, disgusting way. If he cheats out of spite, it's not any better, and he gets to abuse her emotionally on top of it. Two broken people who are both terrible in their own ways deserve each other. I would rather they stay together and ruin each other's lives than go free and ruin more lives along the way. Since Helena has chosen to date a married man, we can add broken and terrible person 3 to the group. I think that broken people are spread out until they are weeded out by smart and normal people. Once enough reasonable and normal people have filtered it out, a poisonous link starts when these hurt people finally meet another hurt person. That's one of the main reasons why so many codependent people are in situations where their partners abuse them or cheat on them. The smart ones didn't pay attention to the first warning signs. The person named Lunatic Lemon said the following. It's clear she did something wrong, but I don't understand why they don't just leave. They don't have to get a divorce. Their son is free to move back and forth and she might get a flat. But to have sex with her? That's really low class. To EF her, which is kind of like treating his wife like a prostitute. Also, I find it very strange that you keep sleeping with Helena. Are you not pleased with your new partner? What's the point of making his wife go through this? Besides that, to keep putting her down before doing the same things she was, it looks like this isn't exactly a high road. They should get a divorce because it looks like they are mentally ill. And the hurt their son is currently going through from seeing his father beat up both his wife and the boy's mother cannot be forgiven. The kid will have pain for the rest of his life. UB1 Kenobi says, how sad. The only person in this story that I feel sorry for is her child. All of this can be seen by their child. What's the point? Does your friend know how this will affect his child? What does he do with his mom? I get that she deserves what she got, but their child shouldn't grow up in that kind of toxic environment. At the very least, he should find a way to get a divorce for the sake of that child. Right now, each of them needs help on their own. This is what JJ Farrow has to say. Doesn't your country recognize legal separation? That's it for me. I don't understand why Jane would want to stay with someone who clearly doesn't want her back after what she did. She is to blame for trying to save a marriage that was doomed from the start, even though the guy is now being rude to her. It looks like she's hurting herself so that the guy will feel sorry for her, like how you and your wife felt in the end. It's clear, though, that he no longer thinks she's worthy of his time and sees her as a broken person. They both need to run away. The last comment comes from the original author. He doesn't want to give her any cash. In this case, you need real proof to show that the person was cheating. Proof is important for everything.